What's up, you guys? We're back with another episode of the Man Up Club Presents podcast. I'm your girl, Celena, Lena, a.k.a. Sis from Sis and Lil Bro. But I also work at the Man Up Club as the program coordinator, okay? Today, we have two very special guests today, and one of them, his name is James Mullins. James, say hello.
Yo.
And the other one is Yanni Davis. Yanni, say what's up.
What's poppin'?
Yeah, brand new whip just hopped in, okay?
Huh.
Okay, but no, this is his second time back at the podcast, and today we're bringing a new conversation into the air about navigating childhood, navigating family dynamics when it comes to parents who are separated. Because we all face, not all of us, but some of us have that experience. I mean, I know myself, when I was growing up, I had a father figure. I come from a blended family, so my parents weren't together. My biological parents weren't together when I was young, even until now. And with James, I mean, he could tell you about that. And also I'll have Yanni tell you about that as well. So James, let's just start off by telling the people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is James Mullins, as she said, and I've been doing youth work for about a little over 20 years now. And with that, I run a young father support group as we speak. And I actually have to be today at 5 p.m., 5 to 7.
Yes.
So, welcome to come down.
Yes, that's what's up. Yes, his young fathers group is called Future Father Figures, and he works for the Bridge here in the Twin Cities. So shout out to you for being a mentor for young men out there. Okay. Yanni, a little bit about you, sir.
What's up, man? I'm Yanni. Yeah, that's about it. No, I'm just playing. I also am a father. I do youth work too, more so in the educational field. I've been coaching youth football, and high school as well for about 10 years, both doing 10 years. Other work, y'all know I'm all into the music, producing, playing, recording, arranging, directing, all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. Very prolific in his artistic crafts.
Very tired.
It's okay. But you're hearing it live today, so that's what I'm talking about. Okay, guys. So, James, what was your family dynamic growing up when in relation to your parents?
So, early on, my experience with my parents, I have very limited memories of them being together. Not many years after I was born, they divorced. Not many years after I was born, they divorced. So I think I was about like 3 or 4 when they divorced. So the memories I had of them together is very limited. Good memories of them being together. And then when they divorced, when I was about 4, up until now, actually, I still do not have a bad memory of them two together as far as how they operated. My mother never said a bad word about my pops, and vice versa. It was one of those where I actually had to basically sit down and have a personal podcast with each one of them to figure out what went wrong. I'm like, y'all have had nothing but good things to say about each other. Y'all communication is consistent, open, very good communication as far as our whole family. What in the hell went wrong with y'all relationship? And when they told me that they went through hell in their relationship, that it was extremely toxic, it was not something to where they could raise a child with, it was something that was extremely bad. But they made a promise to each other that they would let each other tell their own story. And that they would not argue or do anything around me.
And it never happened.
And it never happened. I've never seen them argue a day in my life. But when I asked them what went wrong, they said they've actually been in physical altercations with each other.
Oh, wow.
It's just never around me.
Right. We've never known unless they said it.
Unless they said it. If they didn't say no, I would have never known about this.
That's deep.
So it was normal for you to have your parents separated. So you was going to, I'm assuming you were going to your mom's. And where does she live?
Well, so when they first separated, I was in Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And they were both. Are you from Gary too?
From the G.
Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. All
219 all
right,
day, baby.
yes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
That's why
All right.
y'all was meant to be on this podcast
Right,
together. Y'all both
right.
from Gary, Indiana. Shout out Gary, Indiana.
And when they first separated, they were both in Gary.
Okay.
But then when I was about 7, my mom moved here. So then I started to spend summers with my mom's here. Then spend my school years back in Gary. Went to Carver, Pulaski. And then when I was about 13, the judge allowed me to pick which parent I wanted to live with.
Oh, wow. Big decision.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Pops, I love you, but this is Gary. I'm going ahead with Mom.
Facts.
There was no reason to pick one parent over the other. So it was going to be hard to say like, hey, I like living with this parent more than this parent because this parent is this type of person or whatever. They were both great parents. So it had nothing to do with their parenting abilities. It had everything to do with where in the hell they were living at the time.
Got you.
And guess what? Minneapolis will always be a better decision than Gary.
Facts. I got a question. Do you feel like spending the summers with your mom? Obviously, you were with your dad most of the time. More months out of the year than your mom throughout the summers. Do you feel like that kind of had a little part in your decision of wanting to maybe spend more time with your mom, or move to Minneapolis as well?
Well, it made me want to move to Minneapolis because hell, it's the first time I've been exposed to white people that weren't racist.
That's real. For anybody who don't know, Indiana is the capital of you know what.
Yeah. Well, okay, so with further
used to be
research
for a while.
It is one of their home bases, but not the capital.
Yeah, I mean headquarters is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Not capital, headquarters.
So it's not the headquarters.
It's one of the capital. I mean,
it's one of their home bases, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not the capital. So people have used that against Gary for a long time
Yeah.
to say like, but in Indiana though.
Well, that's why I say Indiana. I ain't say Gary.
Right.
I say Indiana.
But in Indiana,
Sorry,
know what I
history
mean?
lesson, y'all. My bad.
No, you're
home-
fine. It's all good.
But
But that's real though.
yeah. So as far as being in Minneapolis, I was exposed to a lot that was just a whole new world. For like Aladdin,
Mm-hmm. That was good.
I got a question for you too, and then we'll jump over to Yanni. When you had to make that decision at 13 years old of, okay, which parent do you want to live with, was that traumatic? Or was it not because it sounds like you spent an equal amount of time with each parent. So was that decision like, okay, I'm going to choose Gary, Indiana with my mom, right?
No.
Sorry, I have it opposite.
Yeah,
Okay,
Gary was
Gary
my
Indiana
pops.
went with my dad. I'm going to choose that with my dad, but I know that, in the summertime or whatever, I'll go see my mom in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was gonna be vice versa either way. So
Okay. So
whichever
it wasn't
parent
crazy for you.
right. It was basically which parent I wanted to go to school with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's basically what it was.
Got you.
Because whichever parent I was going to school with, I was going to spend the summers with the other parent.
And one last question. As you were growing up, did you ever have a desire to see your parents together? Kind of like a dream, like, I wonder what it would be like.
I asked Possum, move to Minnesota.
Mm.
I was like, come on down to Minnesota. Move down there. I mean, and he was like, I don't know if me and your mother will ever get together. And I was like, well, no, I just want y'all to be in the same state.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? That'd be cool with me. Even if y'all don't ever get back together. I don't care about that, but
Gotcha.
nah, it didn't happen that way.
Mm. So, Yanni,
Was that?
so you also grew up with both your parents split, correct?
This is correct.
Okay. Can you tell the people about your family dynamic and how was your childhood experience with that?
My dynamic was a little less sweet than James. My parents, they got married 2 years before I was even born. Had me, I was born in Gary, Hammond to be exact.
Okay.
And then I moved here when I was about 3 years old. But obviously, y'all know my Gary story. All family back there went back so much I could navigate at a young age. But I don't really remember any like full-fledged family. Triple F, seen that full-fledged family.
3 F's going. 3 F's. Let's go.
I don't have memories like that for real. Even if it's little stuff like school concerts or football games or not. It was mainly my mom. My mom was the main one that was always there. My parents like officially split when I was about 8, 9 years old. And my dad never lived far. Like, dude probably lived between 5 and 15 minutes away from me in the
Whoa.
house we grew up in. And I still wouldn't see him till like 3, 4 months at a time at
That's
times.
crazy.
And I know one memory I remember for sure. I think so what they used to do, so this is old, y'all, because there's no longer Kmart's, right?
Damn, right.
So Kmart, they used to be like this little program thing where they had this program where kids could go shop for their family
Mhm.
for Christmas. You
Well,
had
put the stuff on layaway.
not even layaway. It was like an actual program where a kid can go and shop for his. They'll give you $1 amount, and you can shop for your entire family for Christmas.
Man, that's
You know,
past my
and you probably have to be there like before like real store hours open, so maybe like 7 a.m. or something like that, and they give you like an hour or so. You know your dollar amount. You pick out what you want for everybody in your family. And it wasn't actually until I was probably 15 years old. So this happened when I was probably like 7 or 8.
Mhm.
But it didn't dawn on me till I was about 15 years old that I was 7, 8 years old getting my father a gift for Christmas.
Wow.
And I can't remember one gift he had gotten me up until I was about 15. And even then it was,
Mm.
nothing crazy. So I really didn't have back and forth. It was just mom. And everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, that was just pretty much it. I just had to figure it out myself
You-
after a while.
Do you hold this like resentment with your dad?
A little bit, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say a little bit is because one thing I didn't do that James did do was have a conversation with my father. I have yet to do that. For my own I'm tough as nails. Nothing can really break me. But I know having that conversation with my father, not even knowing his side of the story, who knows? I never know because I haven't had that conversation yet. But I know it'll break me down. Now I don't know how I feel if he see me like that because he's never seen me like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's real. This is the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we will be back with the conversation. We're back with the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We're talking about the family dynamic of being raised in a home where your parents are not together. We are on Holy Culture Radio. Shout out Holy Culture Radio, y'all. So, Yanni, you said that, you're being honest with us, which we appreciate. You do have some resentment towards your father and for not being there. And there's a lot of differences between you all's story. James, for you, like, I also commend you for being able to have a separate conversation with each parent about what went on between them. I think that for everybody who grows up with parents who are not raising you together, I think that discovering those answers from each parent is part of the healing process. But of course, you have to have the relationship too, So I also commend your parents too for just telling each other, like, and maybe they didn't tell each other, but they just both decided that they're going to let each other tell their own story about what happened to you, and you can form your own opinion and thoughts like that. It sounds to me like that was a move of maturity. And speaking of that, let's just go ahead and define a healthy co-parenting relationship as well as an unhealthy co-parenting relationship. What does it look like? What does it sound like?
First of all, it should be one that puts the needs of the child first. So whatever they're going through personally, whatever they're going through together, the needs of whatever the child should come before that, regardless of what it is. So that should be paramount. Second, I think that they need to make sure that if they are separated, that they have no lingering or resolving issues that could spill over into raising a child. So have a clean break. Get out all of the issues, get out all of the mysteries, the unknowns, get out all of the pain. Anything that you have left over in that relationship, you need to get out. And I always tell people, because I've actually done relationship counseling in the past.
Okay.
And I say one way that you know that you are either starting to heal or you're healed is if you can wish your ex the best and mean it and not want to be with them.
That takes a lot of work.
A lot.
A lot.
It's not easy. Not easy at all. But if you can get to that point to where you can have a healthy separation to know that you've gotten everything out with that person, then that leaves room for you to be able to co-parent.
Yeah, that takes a lot of healing, you know, because the situation can be anything, you know, and you can speak to this too, Yanni, but like what I'm thinking of is like, you know, there's situations where people cheat on each other. Like, you know, the dude could have cheated on the girl or the same, like the mom could have cheated on the dad and there's lots of resentment there. He could have been abusive, you know, to her and for her to just, you know what I'm saying, be able to come to a place where it's like, oh, I wish the best for him. It's my tough. Gosh, like that's tough. I can only imagine. And then,
but that's because when you do that, though, you're not doing that for their benefit. You're doing that for your own benefit.
True.
Forgiveness starts with self.
Right. So a lot of people like to think like, if I do forgive that person, then I'm doing something to benefit them. No, you're doing that for your own healing. Yes.
Yanni, is there anything you want to add to that as far as what do you think a healthy co-parenting relationship looks like? And maybe you can even also speak to your experience as a single father as well, because it's not just about what you guys went through growing up, but it's also both of you are fathers today.
Oh, that was it? All right.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, that was a comma.
Yeah, sorry.
Period.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's also fair to say, like, I don't know.
I was going to say, OG James, he got it. I don't know what a healthy one looked like. I never witnessed one with my parents, and then with my child's mother, that's AWOL. It's very unfortunate. But the biggest thing he said that I would have to agree with was you know, getting those things out. And to piggyback off of that, the first thing I thought of was being selfless. A lot of I can only preach from what I know of an unhealthy co-parenting relationship, and there's so much selfishness.
Okay.
People will use a kid as a pawn, and there's one scenario. Well, not even a scenario. Is this a statistic I'm thinking of? No, it's not that. I don't want to say it's the truth because it's not everybody's testimony. But I always notice that, you know, I have friends who are single parents, some of them females, and it always dawned, or, you know, it's crazy to me that they'd be like, oh, my baby dad, he's trash. He this and that. He don't see his kids. He don't call. Da, 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 da. And then I'd be thinking like, okay, cool. Then there's me where I'm like, man, my baby mom tripping. She don't want me to get my kid. This, that, and the third. Da, 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 da. But they'd be like, well, at least you trying to see your kid. At least you trying to. At least you provide for your kid, or you would do this, or you do it anyway. And so I'm thinking like, why is it always the dudes who don't want to be a father? I ain't gonna say always. I take that back. Why does it seem like at times guys who don't want to be fathers kind of get it off easy when the guys who do? Because I personally know quite a few fellas who are in court fighting for their child who get all the havoc.
That's a real question right there too.
So I'm like, well, maybe like, I mean, I wouldn't do this, but if I didn't care to be a father to my kid, would my life be easier? Would I not get all the headache and the stress and anxiety and sometimes even depression?
The only thing that I can think of, and I'm not saying that this is the answer to that question, because there are multiple answers that could you know what I'm saying, be right. You know what I mean? That could answer that question. The only thing that I can think of is that there is unresolved issues between the parents that have never been resolved. And that's why I say that healthy separation is key, because if there's not a healthy separation, anytime that there is any disconnect or there's any kind of pain, trauma, whatever, that can build and turn into, now I'm going to make your experience of being a parent to be one that's not favorable for you.
For those who care to be a parent.
For those who care to be a parent. And a lot of times, it's not every time, but a lot of times it's because you care. Because when you're with someone in that capacity, they know what buttons to push to either set you off, or they know your passions, and they know what your goals are. And so if there's any way to disrupt those,
it's the red button.
Yes, they will push it. And so if they know that, oh, okay, this person's desire in life is to make sure that he has a good relationship with his child, because I'm hurt, let me go on ahead and make sure that person is hurt too.
Which is so selfish, like you said in the beginning. That's selfish and that's immature. And like you said, that's just hurt people,
Yes.
especially when you involve feelings and you make a child with somebody. And, you know, whatever the situation is like, it's like, if you still have feelings for that person too, if your baby mama still got feelings for you, but you don't want to be with her, that's a whole nother thing too. Because then that can also tap into jealousy as well, you know, which is really hard. But here's another question, because you're over a lot of young fathers, but this is for both of you guys to think about. But what do you do when you are a parent who wants to actively be in their child's life, but and you're doing everything you're supposed to on your end? You're, you know what I'm saying? Let's just say you're providing, you know, for your child. You're making sure to pick them up on time. You're making sure to care for them. You're making sure to emotionally support them. You're making sure to show up to their doctor's appointments or their games or whatever it is. You're just there all the time. You drop everything. You sacrifice things, right? But that other person is not doing any of that and actually purposefully making it a barrier, you know? And in society, mothers do have that upper hand, you know? Because we can talk about gender roles for a second, because I think it's interesting that, I guess what's interesting is that, like, if you have two people, mother and a father, and you got the mom who, let's just say she's pregnant and she wants to have an abortion. And then, you know, we usually side with the mother and be like, okay, well, it's your decision, it's your body. You know what I'm saying? He can't tell you that, you know, to have that baby because that's your body. But it's like when she has that baby, or I'm sorry, when she doesn't have the baby, we forget about the father's feelings. Because what if he wanted to have that baby?
Always.
But we don't think about that. You know? We don't think about that.
We don't. And that's actually a very huge yet hidden pill that men at times have to swallow. And you know, what kind of blows me at times is, in that scenario, it's not 50-50. But if you were to have that baby, it's 50-50. So if you want to have that baby and I don't, but you have the baby anyway because it's your body, should I not have to pay child support now? If you were going to get in my feelings. But hey, I'm not Drake.
Hey, this is the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We'll be right back. This is the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we are getting deep into these gender roles when it comes to parenting. James, what were you saying?
So there is a lot of social support for a woman who decides not to have a child, to where it's like it's your body and your choice. But then there is nothing but social backlash to a father who does not want to be a father once the child is born. I mean, is it not his wallet, his choice?
Hold on now. Hold on, because see that because that statement of like, okay, is it not, is his wallet? So is that not his choice?
Or even,
I think that's shallow of a question to put like to say it like that, because it's not just the wallet and the money. It's deeper than that. It's like, okay, in that situation, that man don't want to have that responsibility because he has other things going on in his life and he's not ready for that commitment.
Let me rephrase the question then. Is it not his wallet and his time his choice? Mm-hmm. Because just because you have a responsibility doesn't mean that that's a responsibility that you want or you're up to having, which is why she has the ability to abort the child in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because she could put up for adoption or what have you. And she's doing that because there's a responsibility that she is now choosing not to be responsible for. If that man did not want that child and he is choosing not to be responsible for it with his time and his money, then why is there not the same support for him when he makes that choice?
In his choice. Yeah, that's real. And I could hear people like thinking like, well, you know, they decided to lay down together and she wants to have the baby, so he needs to step up as a father. But you're right, because it's like, okay, if she decided to abort the child because she doesn't want the responsibility, then everything would be okay. But let's just say we flip the roles, you know what I'm saying? And he wanted that child. People would just be like, oh, well, like, it's her body. So, but it's like, well, he wanted to be a father. To make that baby, it took two of them to make that life. So it can be a complicated thing.
I mean, yeah, even if you get back to the where James says society, women are supported if they abort and men are backlashed in society if they want to have a responsibility. If we just stick to the part of society when that lady does want to have that baby and that man doesn't want to be responsible, let's go back to society. And when you said my wallet, my choice, the only reason I don't feel like that's shallow, because if we go back to society downtown at that courthouse, who's going to automatically be in favor regardless?
Yeah, that judge.
I mean, even my personal experience, I had to keep fighting for my child in court based off false allegations of what my child's mother was putting against me. I had to fight. She didn't have to fight. All she had to do was lie. Because in society,
it always favors the mother when it comes to court cases. I ain't gonna say always, but majority of the time.
But it took two different judges in two different counties for me to fight. Where I didn't see my daughter for almost 2 years fighting for my child. And it took two different judges in two different counties after 2 years on paper to say, well, he's actually a father. Why would I have to go through all of that?
And not to mention, have to go through all that, not even to see your child 50-50, but just to be
still paying child support through that.
Right.
What? My wallet.
So it's not even. So when you say my wallet, my choice, it's because a lot of times you don't get a choice with your wallet once the child is born, and that's why that question is posed. My wallet, my choice, because let's just say that you end up sleeping with a woman. She doesn't tell you that she has a child by you. And when the child is 17 years old, you find out that you have a child. You do realize that you owe back child support.
Sure do.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
So wait, now here's the flip side to that.
Wow.
If you were raising a child for 17 years and you find out that that child is not yours, you get none of that money back.
What? Oh no, that's just talk about society scamming you. Like that's
back to the status quo.
That's crazy.
And that's messed up. That's just the beautiful side of society. Let's just talk about the dirty side. And this is not all. This is not all, y'all. Hear me loud. This is not all.
Church.
But you do have some who, and please don't take anything I'm saying as degrading or mean. I'm just from experience of what I've seen in a few people. Not all, okay? Just billions of people, not all. But there's people where mothers are fully living off of that man's wallet. And I mean that man's wallet. From government assistance to also child support. I mean, no job, no nothing, and everything living off of that man. I know somebody literally paying dumb money for a child that they barely get to see. Again, I was
and
paying
they want to
child
see their
support.
child.
Yeah, I mean, I was paying almost $700 a month for my child that I didn't see for almost 2 years. That was one child.
Wow.
Yeah.
That lived around the corner.
Yeah. Quick question. What we're going to kind of, because since we're talking about, society and what society favors and things like that, what are the stereotypes of young Black fathers? Do you agree with it? Why or why not?
Oh, well, I say working with a lot of young Black fathers, the stereotype is that they're not there, that they are abusive in some way, that they do have multiple families. Those are a lot of stereotypes that are facing a lot of young Black fathers. Even if they don't fit that stereotype in court, they'll be given that stereotype.
I'm going to add to that. The other stereotypes is that they ain't SHIT. Mm-hmm. They're lazy. Mm-hmm. They're trifling. They're unloyal. Mm-hmm. And they was just looking for, a thrill or whatever, or they're a deadbeat.
Deadbeats be the one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, would you like to add on to that?
I was going to say something about my personal experience about being called a deadbeat, but it's a stereotype. I mean, I was like I said, I've had problems with my child's mom before my child was born. I didn't see my child till she was 9 months old.
How have you dealt?
I was called a deadbeat at 2 days old.
Oh my God.
Man.
Yes. Yanni, how have you, that's what I'm saying. It's just at a point where it's just like, wow, this is actually crazy. How have you dealt with this? Just as a father who is not a deadbeat, you're not lazy, you know what I'm saying? You're out here doing your thing. You're gifted. You're a great example, great person in the community, leading, using your gifts and talents. You know what I'm saying? Have all these things going for you. You want to be in your child's life. How are you dealing with not only the stereotypes from society that they put on Black men as fathers, but just even personally?
Cliche, not cliche. Nobody but God. I literally don't know how I didn't lose my mind. Actually, I do know how I didn't. God. It's the only way I didn't lose my mind. And tough. Especially, like I said, growing up without a father, my biggest vow to myself was to not be the father to my kids that my dad was to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, my dad wasn't even in the room when I was born. He didn't show up to no events. I can't remember the last school conference, a doctor visit, none of that. So being in a position with someone who is physically, emotionally, spiritually, legally trying to keep me away from my child before she's even born. So I wasn't there when my daughter was born. I wasn't there.
I know that killed you.
Yeah, I was in Vegas, actually, because I knew I was going to be able to see my daughter. And I know we talked about it last time. I had an eerie feeling on my way coming home from Vegas. I'm like, the whole day was upside down. I didn't know why. The whole time my daughter was being born. And that automatically, I'm like, I'm now being my dad.
And can you let them know why you weren't there?
I wasn't. I'll be transparent.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Huh?
Caitlyn Jenner.
That transparent or transgender?
Transparent. Caitlyn Jenner's a parent. Go ahead.
Anyways. Go ahead.
Knee slapper. I think about 3.5 months into her pregnancy, she went and put a OFP on me. accusing me of sexually assaulting her, resulting in the pregnancy.
What?
Which was just way later, obviously. BS. So she put an OFP on me, went to court, and she was already acting like really weird before that and just doing some outrageous things. So I'm like, I don't care to be around that girl because like this is dirty. My mom got her mom's contact. I would just do it like that. Just I don't care. Just talk to her. So yeah, my daughter was literally born 5 days after me. Hence why I went to Vegas. I went to Vegas for my birthday. And was there for 5 days. Don't recommend. Came back. I'm in the airport. Like I said, I just had a dirty feeling. I ain't gonna say dirty. It was eerie. It was weird. My spirits was low. I felt off. Didn't know why. I mean, it's Vegas. Who doesn't have fun in Vegas? I was off. I found out a week and a half later at work, one of my really good friends, she's like my sister, sent me a screenshot of, saying that she was born. Man, I went to Monarch that night. I was like, man, forget it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, man, like, society. you get that automatically. And, it sucks, but.
How I'm sorry that was your experience, Yanni.
It's all right.
The fact that she's not allowing you to see your child and then call you a deadbeat is insane.
Here's the funny part.
Right.
So this happened, and then I think 3 months after my daughter was born, or 2.5 months later, she sent me a text, OFP. She knows if I text back a dot, I can get in trouble. She texted me on September 11th to be exact of that year, and said, "Are you gonna come see your daughter or help at all?" PMO.
This is the Man Up Club Presents podcast. I'm sitting down with Yanni Davis and James Mullins. So last segment we talked about the stereotypes of young Black fathers the society puts on them. But what do we need to do as a culture to prevent these stereotypes from becoming the reality?
I would like to say that that's one of the main reasons why I pushed the bridge to start the Young Fathers support group, is because I believe that there is a lot more foundational work that we need to do for young men in order for them to be sustainable fathers for our future.
Right.
And so I don't think that there's a lot of resources, support, and there's not a lot of social groundswell for young men to be the best that they can be while being fathers. Mm-hmm. Even at the bridge, we have shelter for pregnant. We have a shelter for pregnant women. Both emergency and transitional shelter for pregnant women. And we have those shelters are also, they come with resources. Mm-hmm. They come with support, things of that nature. There are no men who have those same accesses and resources at that shelter. As of right now, I run the only extension of programming within the bridge that actually focuses on young men.
That's good work that you're doing, and that's why you need it.
Actually.
Yeah. And I agree with you. In order to be a good father, you have to be a good man first. I mean, in order to be, even with the mothers, like in order to be a good mother, you have to know how to be a woman, and because of it's almost kind of like an oxymoron in a way, depending on how young you are, but it's like young father, depending on how young you are, it's like these guys haven't fully developed yet, so really, like you said, we got to take it foundational within the culture. Like it's deeper, you know what I'm saying? Because then it's, first of all, the first thing is, are we all, us as a Black culture, are we all sexually educated to handle ourselves, to be sexually responsible?
Yes, but then again, there's also the other side of that influence, because you could be given the knowledge to be sexually responsible, to say that every person that you sleep with is a potential person to start a family with. But then you get the other side of that, to where there is the party lifestyle that says, oh, that you have access to this many women, and women like this about you. And there's a rush, there's endorphins that come with that, to know that, oh, I get a chance to be able to let out my sexual desires with as many women as I can.
Right, because she bad. Oh, she bad. You
Right.
know, especially, and don't be an athlete. Don't be tall.
Well, here's the thing. Athlete, a musician, entertainer. I mean, shoot, there's some podcasters out here who
Don't
putting
take
in
care of
work.
your beard too much.
Ooh.
Yeah, so.
You know?
Don't take care of your beard.
Yeah, don't, like, and I'm saying that to say, like, there's a lot of temptation, you know? And like you said, the culture and what's being perpetuated in media, like you said, movies, entertainment, music, school.
That's a big...
It's just like, yeah, everything's a free-for-all, y'all. Like, this is what life is supposed to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got this many bodies. How many you got, bro? Like,
and I'll just say, coming from people of color, we've lost our tribal instincts when it comes to raising family. Because
talk about that. What you mean?
Tribally, a lot of tribes who raise families, they raise them based on purpose. Meaning that there's a purpose to where you're either serving a higher power, or you're serving a passion, a family passion, or a family trait, whatever case may be. Like, there's tribes in Africa who they started and they live off of being blacksmiths.
Okay.
They train their kids to be blacksmiths.
Okay, I got you.
Anytime that there is a child born, that child is now hanging around the adult, learning how to become a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that there is, let's say there's a woman who makes clothing. If there's a woman who's being birthed, that woman is now learning how to make clothing from an early age. And so there is purpose way beyond desire that they live for. And we have lost that here in this country, because now it's like, oh, you should be, I'm not going to say praised, but you should be comfortable with choosing whatever it is that you want to do. And regardless of what the outcome is, you know what I mean? As long as you're able to be comfortable with your choice, it's cool. So if you choose to be a prostitute, if you choose to be a gangster, if you choose to be whatever, you know what I mean? The fact that you have this option of choices, you should be comfortable with the fact that you have options.
Mm-hmm.
And tribally, there weren't options of that nature. I mean, even warriors back in the day used to raise men to be warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that when you have people who live for a purpose that's beyond your own personal desires, outcomes become a lot more different than what we have in Western civilization.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, you know, speaking of history and time and having kids, obviously, I want to touch on the generational difference between you both.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind sharing your ages really quick?
I say, how old is you?
Yeah, James, how old are you? 14? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I'm vegan. You know what I mean? I go ahead and drink a lot of water.
No, but yeah, how old are you, James?
43 years old.
43. And Yanni, Yanni, how old are you?
Just Kevin Hart at me, huh? And I feel like Don Cheadle now.
28.
28 and 43. You both, you know, grew up with your parents being separated. Off air, I heard you, James, say that, you know, it was a different time. It was a different time. What do you mean by that? Like, why did you make that a point to point out?
Because back then, social narratives were only pushed in small circles. We didn't have social media. We didn't have a chance to be exposed to different types of outlets to be able to tell whatever story you wanted to tell. it was only within small circles. So whoever you can get to listen to your story is what your social narrative was, or what social narrative was being pushed on you.
Yanni, do you get where he's coming from?
Absolutely.
So like today, it's like
it's
what?
the opposite.
Man.
Like he said, like, I mean, if you're talking about like, you know, your personal stuff, if James was to talk about, you know, his personal stuff, you know, then, you know, if anything happened, then, you know, when he had his kid or whatever the case it is, yeah, social media is a social killer. I mean, I've been backlashed dirty on social media because of allegations and lies. It's a different time, like he said. You know, even with you know, our parents, obviously, you know, his parents are probably older than mine. But even, you know, even with that, you know, coming up, you know, with just these different narratives that, I mean, my parents are not, you know, social media crowders at all, but I believe I can comfortably say they still have the same values as James' parents. I feel like I feel comfortable saying that.
It's very possible.
So it definitely is a difference, especially even just our age now in 2025. It's, you know, it's, for me, everything has to be a free world. I have to raise my kid with somebody who is okay with my daughter, you know, being in a free world, doing what she wanted, kind of just going back to what you're saying about purpose and values.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where I'm, you know, I'm an old soul in real life.
Traditional.
Oh, yeah. I don't play that. Yeah, knick-knack, paddywhack. What's up?
Right.
But, yeah.
That's a good point that you're making.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and that's also one of the biggest things is when you know, people say it all the time, be careful who you have kids with. But they don't say it till after you done had the kid with the person. Like, now that's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But
It's the most important decision you're gonna make.
you know, my values and purpose in life for my kids are I ain't gonna say super traditional, but I'm old school.
But compared to this generation and
Compared
this
to the
time,
generation,
yeah,
it
it's
ain't the
traditional.
same. It ain't
Yeah.
the same.
No, I agree with that, and that's something that I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not about just, oh, I'm having issues with my child's, you know, other parent. It's also like, how do we go about raising the child? Because
Yeah.
then it's like your baby mama or your baby daddy might have a completely different lifestyle, and then them having more control or influence on that I would just imagine that breaks your heart as a parent, because it's like all the things that you want to instill in them, it's like, oh my gosh, like.
Well, to piggyback off of the generational differences when it comes to social activity, let's say if there was a mother and a father that had a disconnect, and there was a narrative pushed on the father to say like, oh, he's a deadbeat, or oh, he's not around, or he's abusive, or vice versa. If there was that narrative pushed on the mother, what have you, it wouldn't affect the parent's job. It would not affect the parents', you know what I'm saying, ability to join clubs. It would not affect the parents' ability to be comfortable while shopping, things of that nature. Nowadays, because of social media, you can spread that narrative, and now it can cost you your job, and it can cost you your custody, and it can cost you your freedom. You can possibly be put into prison or jail because of a social narrative that has been pushed upon you by someone else.
You know, with that being said, real quick, last thing, guys. This is for both of you. What advice would you give to another Black man stepping into fatherhood and co-parenting for the first time? That's for both of you guys to answer and cap it off.
Yeah, I guess you can go last since you deal with these young men. my only thing is understand the outcome. Understand what the outcome will be if you do what you are assigned to do, or if you don't do what you're assigned to do. And I say that in the sense of and we're going back to selflessness. You gotta be selfless, and in that case,
I would say live for your purpose, because you will lose a lot of success in your purpose chasing women, but you will never lose women chasing your success in your purpose.
Period. This has been another episode of the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We will tune in and hear you guys on the next episode.